Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. We're looking at Clownhead 3, a 12-team league that is a Dynasty Empire League. And he's Justin, he's Brad. And tonight we're going to start with Justin in the one spot, looking at that team first.
Yeah, so Matt Delfco drafted from the one spot, then drafted 9 quarterbacks, but only 3 of them are starters in Matt Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Geno Smith. Starting running backs are Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift, and Amandre Stevenson. But I also noticed that he was a little smart here and was able to snag Swift's backup in Craig Reynolds, which is very smart, I think. His wide receivers are Scary Terry, Rashad Bateman, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, Nick Westbrook Ekine, but I also noticed that he still has DeAndre Hopkins in his IR spot, ready to come back there after his Week 6 suspension. So that's definitely going to help his depth and strengthen his wide receiver core. Doesn't have any 2023 first-round picks because trading away, but it was able to pick up 2 more 2023 second-round picks from Powers and Deadeye. So it should be interesting to see what he can do this year and going forward.
Jack Powers is in spot 2, and with Allen, Russ, Mariota, Jimmy G, it's real solid quarterback room. Zeke, Aaron Jones really give a veteran presence to the running back room. The wide receivers are Tyreek, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas. The tight ends, Kelsey, Kittle, Hunter Henry. So the best tight end room in the league, I would venture to bet. This team's going to be tough to beat. It really will be. The top end is real good, and then Lockett and Cordero Patterson are on the bench, ready to fire up to replace anybody with injury. So there's a lot of depth, a lot of people that can come in and sub in. However, as we always know, that you give up things to get things, and this team has no 23 or 24 first-round rookie picks. So at some point, that catches up, and the fact that you can't replenish the roster with an aging roster, this team will have to make moves. But for the time being, it's going to go for it, try to put cash in the pocket, so to speak. And so be interested to see how Jack Powers does out of the 2 spot. JSL was in the 3 spot with Fields, Brady leading the quarterback room, but behind them is a big fat 0. There's just nothing else there. And so kind of keep that in mind, that Brady's winding down, and then Fields is just up and coming. So need a backfill with something there, and it'll depend on how the trade market works, and then what the rookie draft looks like in order to replenish that quarterback room. The running backs are good here with CMC, Henry, Eckler, and Saquon. I mean, that's 4 top 12 running backs. So a lot of depth there, a lot of good quality running backs. Cooper Kupp, Pittman, Amon-Ra, and Cooks are great receiving core, really the top of the receiving core. And then Waller and Knox, while it's not the same tight ends as we just looked at, it's still pretty solid. And so really got a chance to really compete with all the skill positions behind the quarterbacks. But once you get a couple injuries, a couple bye weeks, that all goes, for naught. So we'll be interested to see how the maneuvering of this team happens throughout the course of the year, and then where it ends, and how it does for a potential playoff run. Brad's going to take a look at Team 4.
Yeah, Seaballs was out of the 4 spot, and he kind of went into rebuild mode. He's got 2 23 firsts already and 3 24 firsts already. So you can tell he's kind of sold off some of the value players on his team already, and he kind of went with a group built around Herbert, Mac Jones, James Cook, Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis, Elijah Moore, and Pat Freiermuth, which will be pretty solid for him in the future. And then he also just kind of rounded it out with guys like David Montgomery, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Tyler Conklin, Joshua Palmer, and Nico Collins. Sky Moore on the bench, Chris Olave, Romeo Dubs, Alec Pierce, Adam Troutman and Trey McBride with Brian Robinson on the IR. So he's definitely setting himself up to go into complete rebuild, but he's well on his way, I think, into doing that.
Awesome. Justin, Team 5.
Yeah, Team 5 here. Corporation definitely built this team for now and win now. And it's actually a really good team. And Lamar Jackson, Ryan Tannehill, Jacoby Brissett at his quarterback position, Najee Harris, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Gibson, Miles Sanders, and he also was able to add Mike Davis as the current starting running back in Baltimore. Starting receivers are Diggs, Waddle, Johnson, and Juju, but he also has a fairly good depth on his bench here. Robbie Anderson, Cedric Wilson, Braxton Berrios, Byron Pringle, and Jacoby Myers just sitting there on the bench, which is amazing depth at wide receiver there. It'd really be interesting to see what he can do and put together this year with no 23 first rounders for next year.
And jumping with Brad with Team 6.
Yeah. Fantasy Clown went out of the 6th spot in this division, and he only took 9 QBs in this draft, 4 of which being starters. So I think he learned his lesson a little bit, kind of toned it down. Oddly enough, his team still kind of looks the same though as the other couple leagues. I don't know how he does it, but he built around his core of Javante, Cam Akers, Kyle Pitts, Hawkinson, Michael Carter, James Robinson, and then the rest of his team he kind of built through the draft. He went with guys like Damian Pierce, Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Spiller, David Bell, Johan Dotson, he's definitely sticking with his game plan of going young, rebuilding, and setting himself up for the future to be competitive.
Justin, Team 7.
Yeah, Team 7 here with Deadeye drafted instantly for a rebuild with T. Higgins and Albert O starting out on his taxi squad. So right now he does not plan to use either one of those 2 players. But however, he was able to get 6 23 first rounders and 3 24 first rounders to go forward to help build this team around. He also drafted Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson to help build for next year. The strongest receivers are Sutton and Russell Gage, but it should be interesting to what they be able to put together with having 9 first-round picks over the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And Brad coming in with Team 8.
Yep. River had one from the 8th spot this time, and he kind of drafted center round kind of just studs. He went with Trey Lance and Aaron Rodgers as his 2 QBs. Kind of one young, one kind of coming out of it. So he decided to take Jameis as his 3rd. So he's got kind of security there until you realize that Rodgers and Jameis have a bye week the same week. So he might be running into a couple issues there on week 14 at QB if he doesn't do something about that. But he stayed real young with his running backs, going with Breece Hall and JT, Damian Harris. So he'll be set there for a while as well. His receivers, he went a little sporadic, honestly. He went with Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Toney, Chase Claypool. I feel like he's probably going to have to make a decision on which direction he's going to want to go here in the near future to to really see what where he's going with this team.
Sounds good. Justin, Team 9.
Yeah, so Hurricane Zion drafted out of the 9 slot here, and it's a little difficult to try to figure out what he was really trying to do with him drafting all of his draft picks in 23 and 24 away. But in return, he was only able to put together 2 starting quarterbacks and Jalen Hurts and Davis Mills, and at running back with Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, CH, and AJ Dillon. The wide receivers are AJ Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Hollywood Brown, Allen Robinson, Campbell, KJ Bourne, and Brandon Ayuk to just really build around. It's not really deep at overall, but he has some decent players, especially with a couple of tight ends of Gerald Everett, Austin Hooper, Mo Alley Cox to help rotate in at his starting wide receiver. His tight end spot there. But also notice he has Malik Willis, Jalen Woods, and Desmond Patton. They're on his taxi squad. So he's just really looking to do kind of a slow rebuild, I think.
Brenton Davis actually picked up the 10 spot, and there's 3 quarterbacks here, so I feel really good about the quarterback room with Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Tua as those 3 quarterbacks. The running back room, however, though, is kind of desolate, and that's got Josh Jacobs and Eli Mitchell, and so we're not sure if they'll even be starters at the end of this year, let alone next year. And so, it just kind of puts the team in a little bit of a rebuild just based on where the running backs come out. Debo, DK Metcalf, Drake London, Hunter Renfrow really create a nice little receiving core that are all young, all ready to perform. Andrews and Tremble at tight end give us 1 top-end tight end and then another starting tight end. However, what I noticed here with 8 tight ends on the bench creates a little bit of a shortage across the league, because all of a sudden with 2 tight ends starting in 24 a week, the weeks that there's 4 bye week teams and there's only 28, and he's sitting here with 10 tight ends, it really creates a shortage throughout the league. And so that could create some trade opportunities for those competing teams, especially if injuries occur, that he would be able to use his roster as a blockade to maybe some of those competing teams and maybe sell up on those tight ends with the shortage that he's created. So youth is a key here for this team, and then also how the bench spots are used throughout the season to see who the starting or the better teams are and what their needs may be, and then being able to utilize the waiver wire ahead of them and picking up players that they'll need to compete. And so then they'll have to, overvalue what he has, and he'll be able to create, kind of a false, sense of need of his players. Art Cagle was drafting out of the 11th spot, and so equally, Burrow and Cousins start that quarterback room out with top 2 being real good, but then we fall back to the newly proclaimed starter in Pittsburgh, Mitch Trubisky, but we're not sure how long Mitch will actually start, so that could be problematic because we have both bye weeks are in week 10 for the quarterbacks, so we'll see what happens there with Pickett coming on. Hunt, Dobbins, and Penny create a decent running back room. I wouldn't say they're a strength, but it's adequate. And then, but the strength of the team is going to be the wide receiver room with Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, so 2 real top end guys, and then Mike Williams, Lazard, and Burks, kind of add to that solid core. Komet, Irv, and Foster Moreau are the tight ends, so. As long as the Raiders play 12 personnel, Moreau will get some burn and at least get an adequate 3 for 30 type of guy when Irv and and Komet have their buys. So all in all, this team depends on how it all comes down. I'm concerned about, some of those weaker positions and concerned about the quarterback room. But if everything falls right, it could be a playoff team. If everything goes awry, it could be a lottery team. So that's a wide range of outcomes of where this team could fall. Brad's going to break down Team 12.
Yeah, the Mad Stork was out of the 12th spot in this division. And I feel like this team can go a couple different ways. He kind of built around guys like Stafford, Trevor Lawrence, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. And then he has receivers like CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, Robert Woods, Christian Kirk. So I feel like he's going to be real competitive, but then he's also got 3 23 seconds and 2 23 thirds already. So if he feels like he needs to go into some type of rebuild or sell off some things, I feel like he's in a real good position to really make some noise either way, depending on where the cards fall. Health will be the key for this team. At tight end, he's got Godert, Gesicki, Logan Thomas, and Tanyan. So he'll definitely be pretty deep there, at least through bye weeks and everything. And he's got Matt Ryan as his third QB. So he's got all of his bye weeks kind of like thought out already with the players he drafted. And I think he'll be real competitive this year, honestly.
And that is Clownhead 3. Want you guys to hit that like button. That helps us. Hit the subscribe button so you know when these videos do drop. And come back and join us Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. for our predictions to see what we think of your team, to see if we think your team is in the top 2. Looking forward to it. That's Brad. That's Justin. I'm Ed. And so long for now.